Tactard Ted, once again coming to you on the 24th of October, 2022. Beautiful Indian summer day here where I live. Hopefully you're having good, glorious weather like we are. So, is it possible that peace is going to break out in Ukraine? Apparently, the head of the Russian military, Sergei Shoigu, called his counterparts in France, Turkey, United Kingdom, and the USA. One of the main topics he wanted to talk about was the idea that is all over the place in Russia, all over the place in the Russian military, that the Ukrainians are planning to detonate a dirty bomb to provocate a crossing of the red line by the Russians. For those of you who don't know what a dirty bomb is, how is a dirty bomb different than a nuclear bomb? A dirty bomb is simply a conventional explosive that is inside of a container that has nuclear isotopes, or how would you put it, expended uranium fuel or expended nuclear fuel, stuff that is highly radioactive. And when you blow that up, it gets into the atmosphere and it contaminates everything and will cause radiation sickness, radiation death. The slow and painful way to die from radiation, not the quick ground burst heat element that you have with a thermonuclear destruction, not that great heat wave and all that shit that incinerates people. This is more of a slow death that would be caused from nuclear contamination. Basically, a lot of the stuff like you see from the Chernobyl incident, where people birth defects for years, people dying from radiation, that sort of thing. That's the happiness that a dirty bomb will bring you. It doesn't bring that instantaneous shockwave that levels everything. Like those of us who are Cold War kids, even Cold War adults, we know what to expect with a thermonuclear blast. So anyhow, after this conversation, there were a lot of little movements going on here and there. The British actually came out and said that they wanted to work for peace in Ukraine. That was put out late last night. Interestingly enough, that the Brits now want to work towards peace in Ukraine. Today, the phone calls that Shoigu made last night were followed up today by phone calls from one of Shoigu's subordinates, and he called the subordinates to the people that Shoigu talked to. And I've heard several commentators said this is a positive sign, that what happens is the bosses get together and say, hey, we need peace, we need to work something out. They throw it to the guys who work for them, let them hack out all the details, they present it to the bosses, and the bosses say thumbs up or thumbs down, because the bosses don't have time to worry with the details. But the junior, the subordinate folks will do that. Now, whether that is the way it's going to be, or whether it's simple pipe dreaming, we shall see. I personally don't think that Russia is going to settle for anything less than the entire regions that they have taken, and probably also Odessa. I look for the Russians to go ahead and say, hey, you want peace, this is what we'll give you. The fly in the ointment here is nobody's talking to Zelensky. Nobody's here talking to the Ukrainians. I don't believe the Ukrainians want peace. I don't believe the Ukrainians can afford peace, or at least Zelensky can't afford peace. Presidential elections in Ukraine are next year. Zelensky would like another term as president. But unfortunately, if peace comes out and peace is achieved, or even a freezing of the conflict, he can't keep the people in the dark about all the corruption, all the nonsense that they've been doing, and all the war crimes that have been committed by the Ukrainians. These are things that are kept under wraps in Ukraine. There's a big filter when it comes to the media. They are very controlled about what they let their people know. And they are not letting them know a lot of the facts. And a lot of the Ukrainians, if they knew the true death toll in Ukraine, would be shocked, would be devastated if they knew just how bad they're losing. I think a lot of Americans, if the truth came out, would be really upset and devastated if they knew how bad Ukraine was losing and that we're continuing to fund this nonsense. So anyhow, folks, that is a quick update on the possibility of peace breaking out. We shall see. I know that Russians are holding the upper hand right now. There are 300,000 that they called up, and about 70,000 volunteers. Those folks are already hitting the field, and many of them will be showing up in the field soon. I know that some folks are deploying to Belarus. I also understand there's a lot of saber rattling from Lukashenko, the Belarusian leader, and I know that he's pretty keen to be able to put his guys into Ukraine and take care of the Belarusian dissidents that are serving in the Ukrainian army. I'm sure Lukashenko would like to see those guys liquidated or captured or what have you. So anyhow, that's a real quick update on the possibilities of peace in Ukraine. Like I said, apparently the Brits seem to be moving towards that. The Russians have always said that they're willing to sit down at the negotiating table. The only ones who don't seem to be really keen on the prospect right now are the ones with the most to lose, who are the Ukrainians. But don't worry, folks, I have a lot of confidence that if Zelensky decides not to negotiate in Ukraine's best interest come this time next year, there will be no Ukraine to negotiate for. So anyhow, you guys take care. Talk to you later.